Alright guys, welcome back. It's been a while since we last been here, but there's a lot of stuff to do, so we gotta get to it. So the first thing we're gonna take care of is the fruit fly problem I have in the garage. So there was a trick online where you just put balsamic vinegar or into a shot glass with some dish soap in it. All the fruit flies are gonna be attracted to it, and the soap is used to break the surface tension for the vinegar. So the fruit flies will sink to the bottom. So let's fill this up. I'm gonna place this guy right here against this back wall so I don't accidentally drink it, and then we're gonna check back and see if there's gonna be any fruit flies in the bottom of this cup. As you can see, we have a huge fruit fly problem in here. Look at this guy, doesn't even care. So hopefully with this method, it's going to catch all of the guys in here. The next thing we're doing is we're gonna line all of our worm bins with the plastic bubble wrap. This way there won't be as much water loss, because I am putting them on heat pads right now, and it really dries out the bedding. So with this, I hope that the rate of evaporation will be slower. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to size it up, and I'm going to have cut one out for each of these bins. Just like that. And we're going to do this a couple more times for each of the other bins that I have. So that will be the size for these three black bins, and then I do have another size green bin right here that I'll be using. So for this one, it's all pretty much the same, just a little bit bigger. So gotta do this a couple more times. You can see this working already. You can see that a little fruit fly went in right over there. You can see some movement. So it's working. Let's see how many of these other guys will come in and sink to the bottom. And we'll check back again next week. So when we were in here last time, we had the same three worm nurseries. And then every 3 weeks, we put everything from these three bins into one of these green bins. So each of these green bins are 3 weeks apart with different ages of baby red wrigglers. So we're going to look at each of them today and see how many cocoons have hatched, and if there is an active worm population in these three newly formed worm bins. Alright, so this is probably one of the first worm nursery cocoon bins that I made. I should really label these guys, but I haven't gotten around to that. So whatever I fed here last week, it is sprouting. So these look like bean sprouts, but I'm pretty sure these are white scallop squash seeds. So they will all just start sprouting in here. So even though they sprouted, if you just pick them up and just toss them around in the worm bin, the worms will eat these right up as well. So let's see if we dig down the middle, because that's where I put the food, if there are a congregation of any worms. Yeah, so we can see that there are quite a number of worms that have hatched. They like to say where the food is. They're all pretty small right now, but let's see if I can get you a close-up of these baby worms. So we're just gonna mix this up. Worms, they take quite a while to mature. So this would be, these worms are has been in here for about 2 months now, starting from when they were cocoons. They take about 3-4 weeks, or even more, depending on the conditions to hatch and then to mature. So they do exist in this bin. Let's just see how much of them hatch during this time period. So we're just gonna feed this bin right now. So we have some banana peels and some green sprout leaves for them. So not too much. We're just gonna put this right here. Then we're gonna add in some company secrets, and we're just gonna cover it right up. So the moisture level in here is still pretty good, but now we're gonna want to maintain it at this level. So we're gonna add one of these plastic bubble wrap to control the moisture, and then we're gonna go back on top of it with our cardboard paper. And then we're just gonna keep going and checking these cocoon nurseries. I believe this one was the second one that I made. So you can see that since this was right on top of the heating mat, it got a lot more dry compared to the other one. So we're gonna need to add some water into this one after mixing around and see if I can find any worms. Yeah, there's a lot of worms in this one. You just go to where the food is and you got the worms. So we can see a lot of worms right here. Once they get bigger, yeah, there's probably like about 200-300 worms right here. And even if the bin does get too hot in one area, there's plenty of other areas in the worm bin where they can go to. So it's not like they're going to die from any kind of overexposure to heat. So we're just gonna mix this around a little bit. All the worms are still right here. That's a lot of worms, wow. Let me just show you that again. It's a lot of worms. We'll leave them right there in the center. We're gonna hit them with some of that same food, the bean sprout leaves. I mean the bean leaves, whatever you call it. We're gonna hit it with some company secrets. We're just gonna cover it back up. Then we're gonna need to add some water into here because it was pretty dry. So we're gonna water it in. I got this cute little watering can because it spreads out the water out nice and evenly into the bin. You just throw water into here, it's going to just stay in one area. So this really spreads it out nicely. All right, so that's enough. And then we're gonna hit it with one of our plastic wraps as well. All right, put this back on top. This one is done. Now for the last one, this one was the one I did most recently, but even then that was probably a month ago. So let's see if any cocoons hatch within that time. So I'm not seeing too much activity in here, but still a lot of cocoons in here. But in the meantime, we'll just, since I don't see too many worms in here, I'm just gonna put a little bit of food and then be done with it. All right, that should be enough for the few worms that are going to start hatching, so that should be good. And then we hit it with another one. Just right on top, and then back to go. All right, so here we have one of our worm nurseries. And this is where all the magic happens. All of these worms going in and out. Yeah, we can see a lot of activity here, a lot of worms. Nice and big worms. Right now there's about like 200, 300 worms in each bin, but I would like to add more, probably to 500 in here, so then we can maximize the amount of cocoon formation. So right now it seems like bedding is a little bit dry, so we'll just have to add some more water, make these worms a little bit more active. So for now, we're supposed to be separating them, but I'll be doing that another time. Yeah, we'll give it another week, and then we're gonna separate these worms and give it some new fresh bedding, and then we're gonna start another cocoon nursery. So for now, we're just going to feed this one as is. So we're gonna throw this back, throw in some frozen vegetables again. and some more company secrets. And since we do want these worms to be more active, we're gonna have to water it in. And cover it back up. And hit it with the plastic. Move it to the side. So I'll be doing this for the next two, so I'll catch you guys in a bit. Alright, then here we have our mixed bin. You can see, wow, a lot of fruit flies just came out of that. I hope you guys get caught in the balsamic vinaigrette trap that I laid out for you. Anyways, here, there's a lot of worms in here and I need to separate them from the red wrigglers to the Indian blue worms. So it's going to be a lot of work, but I have to get to it eventually, but not today. But right now, this is how I'm keeping them separated. The worms I don't know, I also just leave it in here for now. So we're just going to mix this up. This bin is pretty wet, so I would want it to dry out a little bit more before I harvest the castings. So I'm not going to put the plastic wrap on this bin here. But yeah, there's a lot of worms in here, blues and reds mixed. But if people ever buy them, I would never send out the mixed ones. This is just for something for me to separate when the time comes. Right, so even you guys will need some food. So let's just throw in. So let's throw in a whole banana for you guys. I'm gonna give you some extra bedding so we could dry out some of the surrounding castings. So let's just mix that up. And let the worms get to work. So for this bin, I believe that everything in here is a red wriggler, because I remember taking out each red wriggler one by one and then putting them in here. But I have to double check before I combine them with my other red wriggler bins. So in here, moisture level is really good. A lot of healthy worms as well. Last week I put in some dragon eyes in here, but I don't think I see any anymore. Alright, so yeah, I just come in here every week, just do a little bit mixing of the bin, make sure my worms are fed, give this one a banana too, maybe a banana peel also. And of course, hit it with the company secrets. And then just cover it up. So moisture level in here is pretty good already, so I'm just going to put the plastic on top of this one. This one's a little bit too small, but I'll cut you another one. One of the other bins that I need to separate the worms from. Let's just give this a good mix. You can see there are some really big red wrigglers in here. These guys are really easy to find. So this one will go right into one of the breeder bins. So yeah, right in the center, I'm just gonna throw in, and this is some eggplants. Just throw that in there, just a little bit of food, not too much, since I'll be separating them very soon. Just cover that up. And since I'm going to be harvesting from this, I'm also going to want the castings to dry out a bit more. So I'm just gonna leave it on with the carpet cover. And now we can't forget about our Indian blue worm bin. So what we've been working on top of, I need to get a table set up in here. But in here, a lot of A lot of blue Indian blue worms, very active. They create castings so fast. They're much more active than the red wrigglers. Red wrigglers, you'll see they don't move too much. But for the Indian blue worms, they really like to move. Just look at that. So I don't know if anybody's like interested in these Indian blue worms, but yeah, I do sell these also. And these ones are the only ones with the bin on because they like to escape. So I have the bin on, I have the holes drilled on the side so they can still breathe. You can see still very active. So I'm just, whenever I'm done, almost done with everything, I just dump the rest of the food I have in here. And since it is very wet in here, I always come in with a lot of company secrets just to help maintain the moisture level in the bin. I don't want it to end up having too much moisture in here. So let's just go ahead and mix that up. And even if I do agitate them, where are they gonna run? I'm just gonna put the lid back on. So there we go. And that is my Indian blue worm bin. Alright guys, so I hope you enjoyed that video and I'll update you guys next week. Peace.